Welcome back to the Countdown to Doomsday. I'm only like 7 videos in and I've already ran out of random shit to say during the intro. Today, we're talking about Iron Man 3, the final movie in a trilogy that probably ended way too soon. It's kind of weird how popular Iron Man is, despite the fact that we only saw him in other people's movies after 2013. But maybe that's the trick. Starve the fans of a character so they want him even more. Either way, let's dive into this and talk about what I consider to be one of the most deceptive movies in the MCU. So Iron Man 3 came out just a year after the Avengers, meaning that Robert Downey Jr. was working basically 25/8 to get both movies done. This checks out since this movie is coming off of the back of Iron Man's biggest moment so far in the MCU. It makes sense that we want to keep on pushing Iron Man to the top after something so iconic that he had just done. To add to the clearly fast-paced nature of this movie, we also had a new director at the helm. After Disney ruined Jon Favreau's experience directing for them, they brought in Shane Black to direct Iron Man 3, while Jon Favreau stuck around as Happy Hogan. Now, Shane Black actually made sense for this role because he had a ton of action movie experience in his past as a director, and him and RDJ went back and had a past relationship dating back to the 2005 movie Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which, you know, I did something like that with your mom last night. And while I do not feel at all that Shane Black was a poor choice for the director position, I do feel like his past movies bled in a little bit too much into this movie, and we ended up getting an Iron Man movie without a lot of Iron Man. But let me slow down a bit and let's talk about what actually happened in this movie. TLDR, the demons of Tony's past resurface as Aldrich Killian, someone he left alone at the roof of a building in Switzerland, has started AIM, a company currently looking to give humans some sort of healing factor through a program called Extremis. But honestly, I don't know what Killian's whole deal with the Mandarin was in this movie. Like, he just wanted to lash out for what Tony did to him. Either way, at the same time, he creates the persona of the Mandarin to cover for some accidental explosions that came from the Extremis program. But he gets a little too power hungry, pokes the bear, and Tony fucks him up. Note that I said Tony fucks him up and not Iron Man, because despite this being an Iron Man movie, there's not a lot of Iron Man. Hell, the only time we see him fly around in an Iron Man suit is during the scene where he saves everyone from falling out of that plane. And don't get me wrong, I love the idea of Tony being so obsessed with preparing for the next big bad to step on the planet by building a bunch of suits and then all those suits being stripped from him. But like, holy shit, I want to see this guy fly around and shoot repulsor beams as well, especially with how much he did it in his last 2 appearances. Like, you'd expect more of that, but this movie feels a lot more like some sort of spy movie. Hell, we don't even see the Iron Patriot in action beyond that one scene where the Extremis guy uses the suit. Speaking of Tony's mental, the anxiety attacks. Look, I'm not the best person to ask about these types of situations. I do have a friend who deals with anxiety attacks pretty regularly. You know, I've had a few of my own every once in a while, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert on them by any means. But I don't think that anything that happened to Tony in this movie would be some sort of catalyst for him getting over his anxiety. Especially when the thing that was said for him to get over the last anxiety attack he had in the movie was, "You build things, so why don't you just build something?" Considering part of Tony's problem in his relationship with Pepper at this moment was the fact that he couldn't stop building things. He couldn't stop working because he was so stressed out. Him continuing to build when that clearly wasn't helping him before shouldn't be something that helps him get over his attacks in the future. Like, that's literally the definition of insanity. Hey, shame on me for thinking Marvel would put so much effort into something like that. My bad. This is kind of just another example of the writers, you know, having a hold of a serious topic and then kind of glossing over it and simplifying it down for this movie. But anyways, let's keep rolling. Harley Keener. Look, this kid is perfect in his role. He's someone that is kind of like a mini version of Tony, someone that Tony sees himself in a little bit, which is always nice to see because we don't see Tony interact with kids that often, and he clearly has some sort of empathy towards this kid. But like, it's just funny how people have kind of switched on their feelings on Keener ever since Ironheart was brought into the universe. Look, We don't need an Iron Man successor. All of y'all that brought up Harley Keener as, being the next Iron Man, y'all just wanted a rebuttal to Riri Williams. Like, fair, but I feel like no one besides the people complaining about her show were truly believing that she was going to be the Iron Man successor. And if there were others that were saying that, well, they're stupid and it made no narrative sense. I will say this again. MCU Iron Man is a legend, and no other character can truly live up to what he's done in the universe. And honestly, Harley shouldn't have even been in Endgame. Like, he knew Tony for one night. I'm not even sure how he got the clearance to be back there during the whole funeral service. But once again, like I said, the character was perfect for what he was needed to be, and all he needed were the scenes that he was in this movie. Nothing more, nothing less. So, yeah, the Mandarin. I talk more about this fake out because it is just insane how they just hype up this villain. They do a good job in the trailer of making it seem like it's going to be a Mandarin versus Iron Man movie, and it's going to be some crazy, mind games type of movie. But I already made a video on that. Go watch it. I'll put it in the description. I'm just saying, the fact that the Mandarin was a fake out combined with the lack of Iron Man in this movie had to piss some people off. Let's finish this off talking about the change to AIM and Extremis. So, this movie takes the Extremis storyline from the comics and changes it a lot. Back in 2005, Warren Ellis and Adi Granov made the Extremis storyline, which went from issues number 1 to 6 in Iron Man Volume 4, and it's credited as being one of the storylines that helped Tony evolve from just being someone who worked with technology and jumping into the now biotechnology world, where we got things like the Superior Iron Man story. In this story, Tony Stark is questioning his technology a little bit, and he's honestly pushing the bounds to beat much higher level threats that he can't normally take down. A top secret biotech company called Future Farm suffers a break-in where someone breaks in and steals a vial of their experimental super soldier project called Extremis. One of Future Farm's top scientists, named Maya Hansen, reaches out to Tony because they used to be friends back in the day and asks him for help. At the same time, one of the other scientists with her, Aldrich Killian, commits suicide after confessing that he is the one that stole the vial and sold it to a terrorist. The terrorist in question is someone named Malin, who unfortunately had to deal with the death of his family at the hands of an unsuccessful FBI raid. Which, reasonable. Fuck 12. Malin injects himself with the serum and goes through a cocoonish type phase, but comes out basically like a brand new man. The serum rewrites his DNA, so now he's basically like every other super soldier, except for some special abilities of his own, including fire breathing, some electrical discharges from his hands. But for the most part, he's just an advanced human being. Now, Iron Man arrives to try and take him down, but he gets dog walked. All right, there's no better way to put it. Like, I'm looking at all the injuries that I wrote down when I looked through this comic, and it's like when Batman faced Bane. Like, holy hell, like, Jesus, man. Gotta get back in the weight room. So Malin is clearly above the limit of what Tony's current technology can do for him. So what does Tony think the solution to this is? How about he takes a little bit of the Extremis serum as well? And despite the high mortality rate that the serum has had so far, it works on Tony as well. And he gains a little bit of super strength, and he becomes a lot more in tune with the technology of the world. Think about how Cyborg's powers were displayed in Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's kind of what he was working with. And on top of that, he could control and power his suits at any moment with his mind. And thanks to that, he shows up and beats Malin's ass. But in the end, it actually turns out that after some investigation of his own, it was actually Maya Hansen who was the one that gave Malin the super soldier serum. So she confesses and she ends up getting arrested for it. And that's the story. Clearly, it is very different from what we actually got in this movie. Starting off with the elephant in the room. Aldrich Killian is barely in this story. Like, he's basically just some dude that gets manipulated by Maya and then kills himself because of it. I looked into this online trying to figure out why they wanted to go with some one-off character who had less screen time than Arm Fall Off Boy. to go as the main villain for a movie. Number one, I mean, they were on fire right now. They could have done anything and it would have made $1 billion. But number two, they were also worried about having a woman as the lead villain. Because think about it. If they were going to directly translate this to the screen, I don't think Malin would be the front-facing villain of the movie. He'd be a lapdog, kind of like how I guess you could say Justin Hammer was in Iron Man 2, or maybe the other way around. I guess how you could say Whiplash was. And then Maya Hansen's the real villain, and maybe they have her lean into the evilness a little bit more because she's become a lot more desperate for government funding for the Extremis serum. And you know, it makes her a lot more understandable because honestly, in this movie, I got no clue what she even really wants out of any of this. Like, obviously she wants Extremis to work, but like, she does some insane shit, and she doesn't care that Aldrich Killian bombed Tony at all, and she didn't care. She only cared because, you know, she wanted to use Tony to help fix the serum, but whatever. She doesn't make any sense in this movie. She flip-flops, then she gets shot. But yeah, apparently there was some corporate interference on that end, and they didn't believe that a female villain could sell as many toys as male villains, which, I mean, honestly, I believe that they would have done something like that, because if you really look at it, there's only like 1 or 2 main female villains in the MCU. You've got Hela from Ragnarok and oh, what's her name from the Marvels? See, I don't even know the name of the villain from that movie. I like that movie. Everyone says the Marvels is bad. I really like the Marvels. All right, it's nothing special. Don't get me wrong, and it's definitely a C tier movie. But like, I enjoy it. But I have no clue what that villain's name is. But still, I mean, narratively, I think if you wanted to stay a lot more passionate towards the comics, using her would have made I don't want to say a stronger villain, but I'd say a more layered character as the main villain, because I just feel like Killian doesn't have it all there. He's basically just some dude that got dissed by some Chad character, and then he went through his whole red pill phase, and you know, he started calling women hoes, and you know, started saying shit like looks maxing, and then we're here. That's how I've always looked at him. It's not the most compelling villain. They also take AIM, which is usually known for being aligned with MODOK, another Iron Man villain that never interacted with Iron Man, and they just give it to Killian, who, you know, once again, he's not really known for being a villain in the he's not even really known in the comics. And then, you know, we limit AIM to this. It kind of sucks. So yeah, there was a bunch of change in this movie, and obviously I mentioned the Mandarin earlier. That wasn't the only thing that was changed. This was basically just brought from the ground up. Everything about it, even Extremis wasn't the exact same. They were basically just grabbing names and throwing them in to fulfill ideas for characters that they had for this movie, which, you know, I'm not gonna lie, it still made a good narrative. But the characters that they used and the way they kind of diminished some characters' names kind of sucks. Also, shout out to Jenna Ortega. This movie is looked at critically similarly to the first Avenger and Thor, which honestly, I think that's unfair to the first Avenger, but maybe that's just my bias. Like I said, this movie is solid. Honestly, I think they could have been a little bit more faithful to the original storyline. But that's not the biggest deal to me. My biggest issue is obviously the Mandarin fake out and the fact that there is not a lots of Iron Man in this movie. There were so many moments where Tony would either get a suit or he would control a suit, and then 3 seconds later, he would be left without that suit again. Like, we've got the whole Barrel of Monkeys scene, or how about when the what is it in California? His whole California home gets destroyed and he has the suit for like half a second. And then once he gets to, I believe it was Oklahoma, this suit loses all power, right? And then that's like the entirety of Act 2, he has no suit. It gets annoying that every single time he gets the suit, it immediately gets taken away from him again, especially since we didn't even start off the movie with some sort of cool little action with him in the Iron Man suit. It was him just testing out the whole, oh, I'm going to summon my suit thing, and that was it. When you drag that out to the end of the movie until you finally get all the different suits working together, it gets pretty annoying because that's basically the entire movie without Iron Man being Iron Man. Either wait to bring back the suit at all until the end, or just give back the suit to us earlier on. Either way, this is the second MCU movie to make $1 billion at the box office, bringing in $1.2 billion, clearly riding off of the success of the Avengers movie, further proving that, yeah, all of our movies are going to be successes, at least for a while. And that's huge, and I'm sure they considered making an Iron Man 4 for at least a good minute, but then they started thinking, hey, narratively, it makes more sense if Tony just shows up in other people's movies. Speaking of other movies, this movie does a great job of setting up for the Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron is a movie where Tony visualizes the deaths of the rest of the Avengers, and he sees it as his own failure, so it drives him to build the AI Ultron, so that Ultron can save them all from whatever is coming. It's like how in this movie, Tony builds over like 50 suits simply because he believes that those suits are the only way that he can protect the people that he cares about. It's the same with Ultron, just an anxiety to protect those around him, and him believing that the only way he can do that is building something. It's great continuous storytelling. So despite all the criticism that I've given this movie today, I'm still gonna put Iron Man 3 in B tier, but below Captain America: The First Avenger. This movie really does do a great job narratively, besides the abrupt end to his anxiety attacks. It's very consistent, it sets up Tony for his future movies. I just can't put it any higher because once again, the lack of Iron Man doing Iron Man things makes it somewhat boring at times, at least to me. And there's a lot of disservice to the comics that I can't really get behind. But nonetheless, there aren't that many holes in this story that make me want to think that it is really a middle of the pack movie. I think it is above average, which is why I'm putting it in B tier. Hey guys, what's up? Look, long story short, it's been a week since I recorded the rest of this video, even the outro. Basically, a week ago when I was recording this, I realized that when I put up the poll for the Avengers, I forgot to change the name, which said Captain America: The First Avenger, and yeah, the voting just wasn't right, all right? It didn't seem right anyways. You guys were putting it in A tier. So we had the Avengers pictures as the selections, but it said Captain America: The First Avenger. So, you know, it's probably confusing people, whatever. I was very upset with that, right? And I thought that this video was going to have to come out and it would be, oh, well, looks like we gotta wait for the Avengers voting till the next video, which I've also recorded. Don't worry about that right now. But then one of our clients at my job was like, hey, site visit on the weekend. So what that meant was I lost my entire weekend. And I almost got into a fight with my boss because I was like, look, man, I'm about to go. I had to go to Portland and LA. First of all, I don't know. Like, I'm sorry if you're from Portland, that there's good places. Like I went downtown and there was some place they had like a live band. It was, oh, that was great. But I swear when I was driving down to downtown, every single person looks sketchy. I don't know how y'all live there, but anyways, I also went to LA. If you're ever in LA, do not stay at the DoubleTree by LAX. It's terrible. All right, I hated that place. I couldn't wait to get out of there. There was some lady, like I'm walking to the bar to get some food, and I hear some old lady down the hall yelling, "Get off of me! Get off of me!" Right, and I turn around. There's no fucking old lady there. I don't know who was yelling that, but the people at the front desk were not even reacting to it. I don't know what was going on at that DoubleTree. That's my rant though. I spent my whole weekend traveling, going around, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, like I had already recorded, I have 3 videos. I had 3 videos recorded that I was going to edit during the trips. But not only was it the fact that I would have to, I flew in, and then the next morning I would have to go to site, and then right from the site, I'd have to go straight to the airport for my flight to the next city. I would have figured it out. I would have found some time to not be a tired, lazy bastard and edit the video. But there's one more problem. This is the laptop I use to edit. If you can't tell, the screen doesn't work. So I can only use this laptop when it's hooked up to a display, and I brought HDMI cables with me on my trip because I was just going to hook it up to the TV in my room. But when I did that, the TV was like, hey, you got to press some button on your laptop. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, that's not gonna work. So I literally couldn't do shit while I was out. And yeah, now it's Tuesday. I almost got into a fight with my boss before I left because I was losing my weekend, right? So I'm like, yo, just give me 2 days back during the week and we're Gucci. And you know, at first he wasn't gonna fucking do it, and he was like, oh well, I'm doing this too. And I'm like, my brother in Christ, you make like 3 times of what I make. Like, what are we doing here? He finally gave them to me, so it's Tuesday. While the other chumps are working, you know, I'm here editing. So this is when I edit it. It's been like a week since I recorded this video. I've also have the Thor: The Dark World video recorded as well. I couldn't edit it. So yeah, don't get a job, kids. Just be unemployed. It's way better. But the good news is that the poll has been out for, wow, 10 days. Maybe it's been a lot longer since I recorded. No, because when I recorded, it was 10 days ago. But then I had to fucking, yeah, okay. Anyways, surprise, surprise, the Avengers got S tier. I mean, I don't think we needed to actually run a poll for that, but yeah, of course. You guys want S tier Avengers. I agree, of course. Unfortunately, I don't know how this is going to work because I already recorded Thor: The Dark World, but we haven't even put out the poll for Iron Man 3, of course. But we'll see. I'll probably just delay the upload of that one and then wait for the poll to, you know, get a significant amount of votes and then add it in kind of like this one in post editing. But here are the 2 updated tier lists. But yeah, lessons learned. Portland looks kind of sketchy. Do not stay at the LAX DoubleTree. And I need a new job. Roll the outro. But yeah, that's going to be all for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you think of Iron Man 3. Although I don't think it's as objectively bad as I think that Iron Man 2 is, I do genuinely enjoy Iron Man 2 a lot more. But Iron Man 3 is a much better put together movie. But if you disagree, let me know. Make sure you go vote in the community poll for Iron Man 3 as well as the Avengers, because that one will be new and remade. I'll stop putting together polls at 1 a.m. in the morning, so that never happens again. Make sure you check out my gaming channel in the description if you want to see a much more unhinged version of me. I promise you that the Captain Confederacy video is coming out soon. I've been saying that for like 2 weeks, but I'm back to editing it, so don't worry. And make sure you let me know what other types of things you want me to cover on this channel. I've got like a list of things, right? And I'll just keep on running through them if I don't get any suggestions. And if you guys think I should talk about something else, let me know. But yeah, like the video if you like what you see here. Subscribe to the channel for more just like this. My goal by the end of the year is to get to 1,000 subs. So if you enjoy what you're seeing, join the squad and help me get that goal. And as always, thank you for watching.